What are you?
You haven't figured it out yet. I'm the Saiyan who came all the way from Earth for the sole purpose of feeding you. I am the Super Saiyan!
Hi everyone, welcome to another Cartoon Galaxy Rant. I'm Mars Moon, and I like to rant about cartoons. And yeah, it has been a while since I last updated. I've even been a bit behind in my animations. You see, things have been pretty busy at the home front, so unfortunately I haven't had as much time to get content done as frequently as I'd hope. But I'll still have things posted. It just may take a little longer than usual. So stick around for those updates. And thank you for all your patience. Now, for today's Cartoon Galaxy Rant, I want to talk about a cartoon from my childhood. A cartoon that I just adore, and I'm sure you guys do too. I mean, I figure that's the case if you read the video's title and decided to watch. That's right, I'm talking about Popeye the Sailor Man, the spinach-loving sailor who doesn't take crap from anyone, especially if they wind up messing with his girl, no matter how string beanie she may be. Now, before I get into our beloved Popeye, just a quick reminder to please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, especially with the way YouTube likes to mess around with the algorithms and all that jazz. And I also want to give a huge thanks to all of you who have been supportive. This channel and Cartoon Galaxy Rant would be nothing without all of you. So thank you all, you guys are the best. Okay, so now back to the video. As you may all know, this year has started off pretty interesting. And no, I'm not just talking about car bombs, car attacks, drones, and brush fires. Though, I mean, those are pretty insane to start the new year off with. I'm not gonna lie. But no, I was going to talk about something not so, well, horrifying and terrible at the same time. At least, I don't think it is. I was going to say that with the start of the new year, Popeye has officially entered the public domain with our good friends, Steamboat Willie and Winnie the Pooh. And like tradition, the moment Popeye entered public domain, like his cartoon counterparts, it has already been made into a horror flick. Because why the hell not? Anywho, that's not what I will be focusing on. Thank God. See, this public domain thing got me wondering, why hasn't Popeye ever made a comeback like a lot of other cartoon classics? You know, like Scooby-Doo, other Hanna-Barbera cartoons, Tom and Jerry, which is, I guess, also kind of Hanna-Barbera, the Looney Tunes. There is always new shows and films for these franchises, but Popeye doesn't seem to get any. And there were so many years before becoming public domain that he could have been utilized in newer shows and entertainment. I mean, the last time his cartoon series ever aired was back in the 80s. Unless you want to count the Hanna-Barbera series about Popeye and his son that aired between 1997 and 1998. And yes, that is a thing that existed. It surprised me too. Or we could also count the 3D animated production of Popeye that aired back in 2004. But considering that we are now into 2025, that was such a long time ago. I mean, a long time ago. Don't get me wrong though, as they were planning to release a movie on Popeye, and I'm not talking about the 1980 live action film starring Robin Williams, though that one was pretty okay. Little did I know that this was Robin Williams' first ever time starring in a feature-length film. But yeah, there was supposed to be a 3D animated film due to release around 2014 or 2015, I believe, and it was going to be directed by Genndy Tartakovsky, the same guy who directed Hotel Transylvania and created such cartoon favorites as Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, and Primal, which if you haven't watched, I highly recommend you do. It's fantastic. However, the Popeye movie project got canceled in 2015 when Tartakovsky stepped down for justifiable reasons, as the studio behind the making of the Popeye film was going through changes, which would have negatively impacted Tartakovsky's vision of how he wanted the film to be, more reflective of the original material. And you know what? Although I'd like a cool new Popeye movie, I sure wouldn't want one with certain changes just because some bigwig Hollywood execs say it will be hipper with newer viewers. Because honestly, what the hell do they know? So yeah, we have been left high and dry from good old Popeye cartoon content for many years now. All that's been Popeye related through the years is seeing his face from time to time on certain products like clothing lines and pop figures. But no new cartoon content, which is a damn shame. However, this leads me to another big thing that I need to talk about in relation to Popeye. Something I'm surprised not a lot of folks have been talking about, at least not that I've noticed. There was one thing that was released back in 2022 that kind of gives Popeye that next step in the modern entertainment world. Although not a TV show, it is still really entertaining and brings Popeye back to life in a new and fun way. This is a comic/manga called I Lie Popeye. And although this is not the first time Popeye showed up in a comic, I mean, after all, his first ever appearance was in a comic called Thimble Theater in 1929, way before making it to our TV sets. This, in my opinion, is just as good as the original Popeye we grew up with. Now, I'm not going to spoil the I Lie Popeye comic and give away too much, as I do highly recommend that if you haven't read this comic, that you should, because it is definitely worth the read. Now, I believe there are supposed to be 5 issues. Hopefully I'm right on that. Not all of them have been released yet. So far, there have already been 3, and that means I am way behind because I only had the pleasure of reading issue 1. But you better believe I have my eyes out for the next 2 comics so I could catch myself up. The premise of the comic is that there is this evil sea hag that wants Popeye to reveal to her where he hid the bejeweled eye of Haggerty. Popeye obviously refuses to comply, and as a result, the sea hag makes it a point to send these monstrous warriors to come and fight Popeye for some answers to the whereabouts of this bejeweled eye. This results in a lot of fighting and, of course, spinach eating. Now, what I love so much about this comic is it perfectly keeps the originality of the Popeye cartoon series while introducing some new elements to the story that actually fits well within Popeye's world. All the characters behave and speak the same way they would in the original show. They also don't look too different in design either. There haven't been much major changes. They actually take a lot from the 80s version of Popeye cartoons with some little anime design influence, but not really a whole lot. If anything, the other newer side characters that we're introduced to have that anime look, even though it may not be over the top. But not the original Popeye cast, like Bluto, Olive Oil, Wimpy, and Popeye himself. They stayed more original. But that's not what makes the series different from its origins. It's the fighting scenes that really make this series unique, as these fight scenes are not like the typical goofy fight scenarios we are so familiar with in the Popeye show. These fight scenes are more reminiscent of a kinda Dragon Ball Z fighting style. Intense, shown at different angles, bodies falling and making craters in the ground, and having a character going a sort of Super Saiyan when things get rough. In case anyone doesn't know what that means, it's kind of like the characters powering up and becoming a tougher opponent. And if you haven't guessed it, yes, Popeye only goes Super Saiyan when he eats his spinach. It sounds crazy, but this combo of Popeye with Dragon Ball Z actually fits together and works just really well. It almost makes you laugh, but it keeps you at the edge of your seat at the same time. I absolutely love it. Now, the reason I especially bring up this comic goes back to what I mentioned earlier, and that is Popeye not being seen on TV or film for quite some time, and how the franchise is now currently in the public domain. First off, being in the public domain definitely opens up doors to Popeye being given the opportunity to be out in the public in new and extraordinary ways, thus possibly making an extravagant return to the audiences that adore Popeye, but hopefully to newer audiences who also can be given the opportunity to appreciate the show. And what better way to do this than by making this comic, I Lie Popeye, into a TV series? I don't know about you guys, but I could see this being a huge success. One reason, obviously, is that it will bring in the dedicated fans of Popeye. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I do believe that it has the potential to also bring in a new fan base of younger audiences. Now, let me explain. See, a lot of kids, mostly preteens and teenagers, even some young adults, can't get enough of Dragon Ball Z. In fact, if anyone was wondering what cartoon gets the most views from these young audiences, Dragon Ball Z is a big one. That's why I think a lot of newer cartoons are not as successful with younger audiences. First off, because younger audiences aren't watching TV anymore, and I doubt that they're hooked to many streaming services unless made readily available by their parents. A lot of kids and teens find entertainment for free online, and Dragon Ball Z is definitely one of those shows that is accessible for free if you could find one of those free-to-watch anime websites. Not to mention, Dragon Ball Z does have this way of getting young viewers hooked on the show, as every episode always ends with a cliffhanger before you feel like anything ever really gets accomplished during those intense fight scenes. So now you have Popeye with that Dragon Ball Z influence, which seems to get younger audiences hooked, and you suddenly draw them in. They are introduced to Popeye and the gang, and maybe they'll think they're pretty cool and keep watching. And that's how you bring Popeye back. Now, I can also say just keep it in comic form, but unfortunately not many people read comics, which is a shame because I really like comics, and I know there's quite a few people who like comics, but more people are watching movies and TV. Hell, the only reason most folks know about major comic book characters is from TV shows and movies. So there you have it. So why not bring I Lie Popeye to the TV screens, or actually more so, places like YouTube or other easily accessible online platforms? Let's give Popeye another spot in the limelight. Well, that's really all I had to share there, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think Popeye should make a comeback, especially now that he's in the public domain? And if you have read I Lie Popeye, I'm also curious what you guys think about it. Anything you would like to share, post it in the comments down below. And with that being said, thanks again for watching. Take care and peace out.